The views, comments, and opinions of the following program do not necessarily reflect those of Morris Media Studios, MorrisMediaLive.com, or its affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
I'm back, you guys. Season 2. Can you believe it? We made it through season 1, and I'm here today. I'm so excited. There's a lot going on right now in America. But thank you. Thank you for joining me for another season. Today we're going to have a special show. It's a sensitive topic, as I always say about all of mine. But this topic is a topic that I am actually still working through. But I just want to welcome you to A Girlfriend's Guide to Life podcast. I'm your host, Miesha Shanell. I curated this podcast almost a year ago during COVID. My goal was to touch, move, and inspire you to live the life that you've been given to live. So I'm asking you to continue to come along with me on this journey as I show you how to love and live through adversity, but most importantly, how to keep your head up. And as I said, today's topic is sensitive. And I'm not going to read a lot today. I'm going to really just talk from my heart. I brought a special guest in today. She's actually a sister girlfriend of mine. She's really a sister in Christ. We met some years back. I didn't know, she didn't know. One day I think I may have hit her on instant message on Facebook or vice versa, but we had a conversation. And little did she know that I was going through a divorce, and she was actually separated. And I made a post we were going back and forth, talking back and forth, DMing, and she said, "How are you doing?" And I said, "I hate men." And she walked me through that. But at the time, I was really, 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 really sad. I just didn't know what life was going to look like after I got through my situation. So today's topic, I'm going to just say it. We're talking about life after divorce. A lot of us are in marriages, are in situationships that they probably shouldn't be in. For whatever reason, they stay. I know I stayed. I was married for 10 years, and I stayed in a marriage where I know I shouldn't have even got into. I shouldn't have married. But I stayed 10 long years because I was fearful. I was hopeless. I was depressed. I didn't think that there was life outside of divorce because I was being financially taken care of. All of my needs met. My son was thriving. He was in private school. I had a great life. And I was afraid to leave that. But it got to a place that I was no longer happy inside. I was no longer thriving. I didn't realize that I had birthrights. And that birthright was that I had purpose on my life. So one day I got tired. After 2 long years of extensive therapy, I got tired of being sad. I got tired of dwelling with depression. So I got up that morning, took a shower, and as I was getting dressed, I looked in the mirror and I said, "Will the real Miesha please stand up?" And at that moment, I knew that I could do it. See, I had been through so many adversities already. As you guys know, I'm an emancipated youth. I lost my mom when I was 10. I had gone through so much that this divorce was just another stepping stone for me to my greatness. But when you're in a situation, you don't realize that you can make it to the other side. So I'm not making this show about me. I'm actually bringing my girlfriend, my sister in Christ, Tam Johnson, in to the studio. She's actually going to shed some insight. So Tam her name is Tamora. Tamora Johnson is a relationship advocate. She's a 2-time author. She has written 2 books. She has a book. Her first book was The Marriage Policies and Procedures. And she is going to talk to us about that. The second book, though, that really touched my soul and is the reason that I wanted her to come on. I wanted her to come on to promote her book. She has a daily devotional book called I just drew a blank, but I know it. Don't tell me. Life After the D. And she's going to come in and give us some strategies. She has 5 elements that she's going to talk about. She has been married for 14. She was married for 14 years. She has 3 beautiful daughters. She is strong in her faith. She knows that she was called to rebuild the commitment to marriage. She wants to continue to help recommit and commit thriving marriages. She is the creator of Make It Rise, which is a synonym for rebuild intentionally, strategically for effectiveness, actually, I'm sorry. Her mission is to change the view how society defines marriage. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome my girlfriend, Tamora Johnson, to A Girlfriend Guide to Life. Whoop, whoop. Hi.
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop.
Hey, lady.
How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I am wonderful. So I cut your bio a little because I wanted to use this opportunity for you to share who you are, share to us what you've been working on. We both share one thing in common. We share a few things in common, but right now what we share is that we're both divorcees.
Yes.
We both were in long-term marriages, and that is a marriage over 10 years. And they usually say when you're married that long, you might as well just stay, figure it out. But when deal breakers are violated, it's hard to live a whole life.
Absolutely.
And you know that. And so I just want, before we delve into the book and the topic, I want you to tell us who you are. Who is Tamora Johnson?
Absolutely. You know what? I think that's a phenomenal question. I really do, because for so many years I answered it incorrectly.
Really? How's that?
Yes, absolutely. So many times when you ask someone, who are you? They give you a laundry list of what they are and not who they are.
Yeah.
Right? So before I was Tam Johnson, that is a wife. She's a mother. You know, she worked for the LA County Sheriff's Department. She's a leader in her church. All of these things that made me feel accomplished and important and successful, right? It wasn't until I went to a leadership class where I learned that there's a difference. And even after going to this leadership class, I continued to define myself as these titles.
Okay.
And that's because I didn't know who I was. And so before you're able to speak on who you really are, you must first know what your purpose is, right? And so it took some time for me to really get confident with what my purpose is. And really, to be honest with you, maybe about 3 years ago when I started going through my separation, I learned that, okay, so you're no longer going to be a wife. Right. So does that chip away at who I am, right? And when my children get grown and gone, does that chip away at who I am? And when I retire from the LA County Sheriff's Department, does that chip away? Right. And when I'm no longer a leader in the church, does that chip away? So who does that leave me to be, right? Your purpose is your purpose. So think of a chair. I like to explain it like this. Okay. A chair's purpose is for to hold you up when you sit down, right? So when the chair is made, whether someone sit in that chair never or a million times, the purpose doesn't change.
Right.
So what I am can change.
Yeah.
Who I am, whether I do it or not, will never change. So God created me, Tam, a woman of God, so who am I? I love the question though. Who am I? I am someone who have been purposed to show married couples how to live who God is. I'll say that again. I'm purposed to show married couples how to live who God is. And when I say that, I mean, we should be able to look at a marriage and see the definition of Christ. we should be able to see love. We should be able to see kindness, affection, joy, peace, right? Yeah. Serving. All of those things should be a direct resemblance of what you're doing and not necessarily what you're saying. Yeah. So what God has purposed me to do and what he's poured into me is to pour into couples, to wives and different relationships, different vehicles that he's giving me, right? Mm-hmm. So coaching, couples coaching, group coaching. I also have a talk show as well, right? And all of these things are geared towards showing who God is in a marriage, defining what the true purpose of marriage really looks like. And so you talked about make it rise, and most people say make it rise. Like, well, what? It's a play on words.
I know,
but you know awesome. What? Make it rise.
Make it for seriously.
Look, make it rise, and pun intended for the married folks. Okay. But make it rise, rebuild intentionally and strategically for effectiveness. Yes. Was born in 2015. Okay.
It's a movement.
It's a movement.
Yes.
It's a movement. And actually that's a part of the vision. The vision is for us to create a movement where we're changing the view of how society has defined marriage. Yeah. And understanding that everyone's definition, it derives from a different place. But my goal is to show and share what God designed it to look like. Yes. And so when I'm doing these workshops, it's because I want to really teach how God said marriage is supposed to look and how it's supposed to be lived out.
Yeah. Yep. And you have a weekly couples talk show that you host. You host and produce. You've created it. Yeah. Share a little bit about that and tell us how we could find your show.
Absolutely. So we're every other Friday. We'll actually be airing this Friday, the 8th.
Bi-weekly. Okay.
Bi-weekly, yes. Okay. So we'll be airing this Friday on my Make It Rise page. Make It Rise page. And what we've done is gathered different couples to come on and speak their truth. Okay. The goal is for us to speak about real life things, right? Mm-hmm. To help the viewers see that it's not just us. It's not just me and my husband. Yes. And I've also had women on there that are widows. Okay. I've had women on there that are dating with a purpose, right? Mm-hmm. Because the goal is to get you to a God-fearing marriage, to a kingdom marriage, right? Yeah. So when you say, okay, Tam, you're a marriage advocate, but I see you doing things with single women or divorced women. Well, before we can have a happy, healthy, and whole marriage, we must first be happy, healthy, whole individuals, right? Yes. And so if I don't know who I am, if I don't know that that's what I was created to be, going into a marriage, it's kind of like a setup, right? Yeah. For the union.
Been there.
Yeah, absolutely. And so have I. And I've learned so much over these past 3 years. I just said, I've learned more about myself in 3 years than I had in a marriage of 14 years, but being with the man for 18 years. I've learned so much about myself.
Isn't it phenomenal? Same for me.
It's so amazing.
It's you don't really, because I feel like for me, I got married and went in and focused on my husband and my son. Yeah. And I was thinking that my husband was going to take care of me on the back end. So I forgot about me. Yeah. And it wasn't until I got out of my marriage that I got to see who I really am and what I'm made of. So I definitely can relate to you on that. What are some of your life's passions right now? What are you working on?
I'm so deeply passionate about building my brand, Make It Rise. I've been building it, like I said, for some years.
5 years?
Yeah, but
6 years.
I'm in a different place today. So when you grow, everything that you're attached to grows. Yeah. And because I have accepted my purpose, right? Yeah. So it wasn't forever that I accepted my purpose, but because I am now confidently standing and walking in my purpose, my goal, my passion is to allow this to be my only, not my only means, but my main source of income.
And guess what?
It will be.
It's probably time. Yeah. But sometimes we have to be pushed out.
Yeah. And so I'm here for the pushing.
Okay.
I'm here for the pushing.
You definitely, I believe that you ready. You said this to me several times, and I know that to be true because when I got laid off from L'Oreal, I was a buyer at L'Oreal, but I was still running this is after divorce, right? This is while I'm building, trying to figure out what it is I'm doing after this divorce, right?
Yeah.
So I started working at L'Oreal, and I'm not a 9-to-5er. Felicia and I was actually just talking about this. I'm not a 9-to-5er. Never really been one, but I'm good in fashion. I'm good with numbers. Okay. I was good at my job, but I never really fit in.
Yeah.
But I didn't complain. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But it was one day I kept saying, I think it's time for me to take my visitation business solo. Like, and not just because I was just doing it part-time, but I was working as a buyer to L'Oreal, right? And I got laid off. Everybody at L'Oreal was crying. It was their dream jobs. It was a phenomenal job with a lot of perks. Yeah. People were crying. And one day, I was just looking around like, they're really like acting as if this is the last thing the best thing that ever happened to them. And one day in a team meeting, I said to them, I raised my hand, and I didn't talk about Christ at church, at work, because it's just being politically correct. People knew that I was a Christian, but I wasn't a holy roller. One day I said, sometimes I said, God wants to move us to greater things, but a lot of times we're scared. Yeah. And this door closing on us is not the end of the world. It's an opportunity for you to fly and do things independently.
Absolutely. But what happens with that is when you don't know your purpose.
Yeah, that's
right?
true. Yep.
When you are defined by your titles, when you're defined by what you do and not who you are, you tend to connect to those things and it become a part of you. It's attached to you. And so when those things begin to be removed or yanked away from you, sometimes abruptly, it's like, okay, now what do I do? You mentioned being married. You jumped in there being, the number 100 wife, and you were doing everything you could as a wife and as a mother, but it was only a result of you not really being told or taught how to incorporate who you are in your marriage. Boom. Because it's necessary. Yes. And many times we do sit who we are to the side because we have the belief that as a wife, we are not supposed to do what we are supposed to do, but do what we're supposed to do for the husband and for the family only. Yeah. And that's the unfortunate part. And unfortunately, sometimes these marriages end in divorce, you know? And so once it ends in divorce, it takes us to the now what question. Now what do I do? Yep.
So how did you come up with the Make It Rise movement? Was it during a time of a dark place, or was it during the time of a purposeful place? Where were you when you created Make It Rise?
I was actually, so I would say a purposeful place. So it was after some valleys that my ex-husband and I had gone through. So I was out of the valley, right? Okay. But God was speaking to me even during that time. And after that, he shared with me that was something that I needed to do. But prior to doing it, I had to get permission from my husband. Okay. So he said, you're going to need his support, because the way that I need you to share would be, you're going to have to share some things that you got to be transparent. Oh, got it. And if he says no, then the answer is no. Okay. So here's the thing. My commitment is to God. Yeah. In a marriage, your commitment is to God. And if you're following what the word says marriage is, then there's no way around being who you're supposed to be to the husband, right? Yes. And so I did that. I went to my ex-husband and I asked, and he's, sure.
He said, yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah, cool. So it was team, let's go, right? Okay. Not that it was his purpose, but it was my purpose. Yep. I needed him to support, right? It's just like a baby daddy, right? Yep. And I hate that term. I know. But it's just like a baby daddy. Like, if I need you to buy Pampers, buy the Pampers. If right.
Let's co-parent. Let's team play.
That's team play. Yes. And I need you as a parent. If someone asks you a question about your wife's child, you can give some information on it, right? Yes. So I had to explain to him what it looked like. I had to share with him. So it was born in a place where God said, I need you to be what you needed when you were in the valley. So when I was in the valley, I didn't think I had anyone. I was too, maybe a little proud. I wanted people to think that our marriage was perfect. It was picture perfect, right? Mm-hmm. And so to go to someone and say, hey, this is what we're going through. I didn't want any judgment. Okay. I protected that man. Okay. I protected his character. Okay. There were a lot of things that I just didn't say because I knew I wasn't done. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Dude, I knew that I wasn't done. So why would I go and bash him and then turn around and I'm back with him and that people are looking at me like, you fool.
Yeah.
So I never did that.
I went through that.
Yeah, I never did that.
Well,
so
I bashed.
That was where it was born. You bashed?
Oh, girl, I told the truth, hunty.
Okay.
I won't say bashed, but I went through this. I was very hurt.
Okay.
And so in the beginning, if you ask, I told the truth. So now that I'm through it, I don't feel like if you know what happened, then you know.
Then you know.
But I don't feel the need to continue to talk about what happened. The marriage ended. But I went through a place where I was telling everybody.
Got it. And I totally understand that. And I want to say that in my purpose, God has given me this special thing to and not that I'm the only one that hear God, but because it's my purpose, I have to know when and when not to speak on something, right? Yeah. What God shared with me, discernment, exactly. Yes. What God showed me was that you can help and you can hinder. So he told me specifically, you can have a room of 100 people that you're speaking to, and there could be one person that from whatever you say, something that you choose to say and not that I told you to say, that it'll hurt. He says, and the 99 would be free and good, but I'm concerned about that one soul that I could lose. That you could lose. So he says, so it's so important that you have your ears open to me, that you hear me loud and clear and not your emotions and not ego. The enemy, not ego, not what you want people to think and say. Ooh, because he says, I will, if I need those 99 to know, I will make a way. He says, I am that I am, right? That's awesome. I'll make it happen. Yeah. And so I had to, even in going through my divorce, I had to know what to share. Even in my books, I had to know what to share, what not to share.
Okay, that's awesome. You use wisdom.
I'm grateful for wisdom.
You used wisdom. I was like, I'm gonna tell the world.
I understand.
I was hurt. I was devastated. So I'm ready. I'm ready to delve on into the topic. Let's talk about life after D, life after the D.
Yes.
Which is your woman's devotional.
Yes, it is.
And I know there's 5 elements that you have for the book, and it's forgiving, coping, healing, recovery, and reaping.
Yes.
So I want to use this time for you to talk about life after the D.
Absolutely. So life after the D is something that I actually chose to write. I didn't choose to write my first book. That was God said you will write this book, right? Okay. This book, I chose to write it, but I got his approval.
Okay. Yeah. So talk about that.
So getting his approval?
Yeah.
Well, so because there were because what I put in the book is nothing but my journal entries. Okay. So there was so much in my journal entries, like I just said, that God said is not for the world to see.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
So he had to tell me what to pick and choose, what to put in there, right? Which entries were necessary. And so in this book, this devotional, I chose 12. I chose 12 entries of my journal. I placed them in there. And you'll see in the book, it says, he said, she said, he said, right? Okay. She is me and he is God. Not he is my ex-husband. Okay. I know people came for the tea for that one.
They bought it. Yeah. When you say bought it.
What did he say?
No. How he say it?
What God said. So I was throwing a hissy fit in this journal. Okay. I was complaining, things that I wasn't allowed to do out in the public. Okay. Things that he told me no. Things that he told me pull it together. Put it together. Okay. You know? Okay, yeah. So in my journal, I was able to be free. Okay. And so there were a lot of things that I shared in my journal, of course, just writing. And then I would go back a couple of days later and I'd write what his reply was to me. And so in the book, it says, he says, and it's his reply. Okay. Right. And then it gives the woman, the reader, an opportunity to write what she's feeling at this stage of her, separation, divorce, wherever she's at. Mm-hmm. I've even spoken to women who's read this book that are actually married and still received something from this book.
Awesome.
And what they learned is that they were broken and didn't know that they were married and broken.
Yeah. Puh.
Yeah. And that happens.
Yeah.
That happens, right? And so, as I always say, it's so relatable. You know, God's word is his word.
Yeah.
It's not, this is only his word for those who are going through a divorce. This is only his word for those who, you know, have lost a child. No, his word is his word, and how we interpret it will depend on where we're at and what location you're in your life.
Right.
And so that's why I love this book, because it's so, this devotional, because it works for many other things other than divorce.
So with your 5 elements, so forgiving. So we all know that in order to move over to the other side, you got to forgive. So talk to us about that.
Yes.
So how did you choose the elements?
I chose the elements by my stages, the stages of getting to being no longer broken, healing, right? So I understand that forgiving is a key.
Yeah.
Forgiving is the key to get to the other elements, right? And in order for me to get on the other side of that door, I have to use this key. And God says the key of forgiving is going to give you access to everything else you've been asking me for. He says, you're asking me to heal your heart. You're asking me to mend those broken pieces. And you're asking me to, listen at this, help you to have a better relationship with your ex-husband because you have children, right? You want to be mature. He says, but before you can get on the other side of that door, you're going to have to use this key. You don't just get to the reaping part, right? And so I had to take a step back and say, okay, so I forgive him. He said, okay, now forgive the woman. Forgive her too.
Forgive her too.
Yeah. And then he said, and now forgive yourself. Right? Yeah, and I want to say that the hardest thing was forgiving myself, because I said a lot of, I should have known. I saw this coming. The red flags were there, right? How could you? And so I blamed myself.
Yeah, we do.
Absolutely.
I blamed myself for him hitting me. How do you blame yourself?
Wow.
I shouldn't have said that. Or maybe I shouldn't have did this. I did.
Yeah.
And I didn't tell anybody.
Right. Yeah. And it's so necessary for us to forgive. Forgiving is not for the other person. And I've heard that all of my life. I've read it all of my life. And I thought I believed it until I had to do it. Until I had to really do it.
I know. Ooh.
Right? It was no longer a surface thing for me. I had to literally live this thing from inside out and forgive and not just put on a show, which leads me to the second element. I'm in the door now, right? Coping. So we've forgiven, and now we're inside of the room. God has allowed us to come in the room, and we're standing there looking like, oh my God, all of this is for me, right?
Right.
And he says, because we see if I do these things, what's at the end, the reaping, right?
Yes.
And so we're excited to get there.
To the end.
And God is like, but there's a process.
Exactly.
You are underdeveloped right now. It's just like being pregnant, right? You're pregnant with this baby, and God will not allow you to push until you are developed completely, or the baby is developed, or you're going to hurt it, or you're not going to do what it was purposed for, right?
Yes.
So in coping, I always say that there's 2 strands of coping.
Okay.
One strand is the strand that says, I need everyone to see that I'm good. They know what I went through. I just got to pull it together. Like, pull it together, Shantae.
Fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it. Just get through, right?
Yeah.
Don't let them see you sweat.
Okay.
And then there's the other strand of coping that's similar, says some of the similar things, right? But then there's an added piece to that.
Okay, what's that?
But God.
But God, okay.
I'm hurt, I'm broken, but God, right? I need them to see the God in me. Okay, get your posture together, right?
Yeah.
It's a but God coping.
Yeah,
that's the only good way. That's the only good way of coping.
Yeah.
Many people talk about coping, right? When you go to counseling, they talk about coping. Yeah, that is coping what I'm doing now. My coping skills. But can you please help me with what happens once I move past the coping?
Seriously.
Or am I supposed to continue to cope?
Yeah.
God didn't make me that way.
Yes,
I don't believe that I'm supposed to just cope my way through this. Right?
Nope.
So you have the coping, you go through this thing, and then you go, you phase into healing. I-N-G. Healing, not healed.
Healing.
Healing. Still processing.
Wow.
Still processing.
That's
At
deep.
this point, You've done the coping. You know that they're watching, right? At the healing stage, it doesn't matter that they're watching, right? I don't care that people see me and they know the story or they think they know the story, right? I am trying to get past these broken pieces that I am encountering so that I can get on with my regularly scheduled life.
Say that again.
I am trying to move forward so that I can move on with my regularly scheduled life. Like, I have things to do.
And that's
right?
when you get to healing, it's a place where you are in your purpose. You're closed off from distractions. You've already moved past all these things that was keeping you down. Now you have blinders on. Listen. And these are when your dreams are birthed.
Absolutely.
But you can't skip.
You cannot.
You can't, dude. The way you are explaining it is so you're articulating it so clear. Amen. And keep going. This is good.
Let me share something with you. How God he laid it on the table for me. When he gave me these 5 elements. Okay. I saw a hospital.
Okay, tell me the analogy.
I saw the emergency room.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I get teared up when I think about this right here. But I literally saw an emergency room, and he said, okay, so I've given you the key. Now it's time to cope, heal, recover, and then reap, right?
Because you feel like you're going to die.
You feel like you're going to die. And so forgiving is calling and letting them know that you're ready. Yeah. You're ready. I have to come in to be seen, right?
Ooh,
he says once you go into the emergency room, awesome. He says the coping portion is when they ask you, okay, so what's going on with you? What are your problems? Wow. What's the pain you're feeling? He says they begin to administer medication to you, right? He says, and now you're coping with the pain. He says that they'll begin to monitor your pain and they will lower the dosage and the amount that they're giving you according to how you're healing. He says, and once you begin to heal, they drop it down a little bit more until one day they turn it off completely. He says, and then recovery is them we're going to give us 24 hours to just watch her.
And discharge. We're going to discharge.
Ooh. Discharging is reaping. You're going back out there. But here's the thing. When you're released, when you're released from, the hospital,
yes.
Usually they give you medicine to take and they say take as needed. Yeah. God says just because you've passed through these 5 elements doesn't mean you're not going to feel any of that again, right? He says, and so I need you to hold on to everything that you've used in this process because you never know, you may have to reach back and take as needed. Girl. So when we move from healing and we go to recovery, we are now able to stand in our liberty. We are now able to say who and whose we are, right?
Yes.
Our posture speaks volumes about us, right? Yes. And then we begin to reap all of those things we were asking God for before we started forgiving. That is the 5 elements of becoming whole again.
Yeah. So basically what you're saying is life after the D.
There is definitely life after the D. And here's the thing. I want us to live life after the D and not just exist in life after the D. Living says, I'm not allowing anything or anyone to hold me down just because I was divorced. Because see, many of us think that being divorced is a bad thing. It's a negative. Right. Especially when we think that being a wife makes us powerful, makes us, it's the tell-all be-all, right? But again, what if you are no longer a wife? Which that is my situation and that is your situation. Yes. But I'm bummed.
Girl, I'm better a single woman than I am a wife right now. Like, I like who I am. Look at me. Shoot. Okay. I feel, honestly, I'm going to keep it 100. I feel prettier than I have ever felt in my entire life. And it's because I don't feel that I need to be attached to a man.
Listen, you know why? There's so many things after divorce. There's so many things about you that will be exposed. So for me, being in a marriage for 14 years and in that relationship for 18 years, there were so many layers covering me up. There was things that I didn't need to do, right? Okay. Because it was routine. Yep. And he didn't require a lot, to be honest with you. But what I'm learning as the woman that I am today is I need a man that does require me to do some things, right? I need you to be assertive in areas that because I know me, I know my personality.
Yes.
My personality is assertive.
Yes.
I know who I am.
Yes.
I know what I want and where I'm going, right?
Yes.
And to be with someone that doesn't know that about themselves, it will probably hinder us.
Oh yeah, because you want your mirror. You want to, when you look at him, you looking at yourself. You want, and he'll know. I always say, the man that I believe that who I am with right now is someone special, and I believe that she just may be. I don't know. It's still like we're still rolling and trying to figure things out and getting to know each other. But I feel you. I too. My son told me this the other day before he left to go back to college. He was like, you know you bomb, right? I was like, I love it. Thank you, son. He was like, and you pretty, right? I was like, yeah. He likes me natural. So he doesn't so much care for me. He was like, and the one that you with, the one that you're going to be with, the one you're going to marry, he's going to want you for you with no red lipstick, with no eyelashes. He's going to love you for who you are. And I was like,
thank you, son.
Thank you, boo.
I love that.
And I get that. So we'll see. But I hear you. We artists. If he ain't a mirror image of me, then I don't know.
But here's the thing also. So I understand, and we all need to understand that the person that you are with or that you marry, their purpose or your purpose isn't necessarily their purpose.
Yeah. Oh, for
right?
Sure. Yeah.
So I understand what you say when you mention about the mirror thing.
Yes.
We have to reflect each other, and we have to enhance. I need to enhance who you are, and you need to enhance who I am, right? So in Genesis, just a little bit.
Yep, tell me.
In Genesis,
preach.
It talks about God creating someone for Adam that was suitable, and I say this a lot.
That's real.
And it didn't say compatible.
No,
right?
suitable.
It's suitable because our compatibilities have seasons. Right. So we may be compatible right now when we first start talking. Because it's new and we're just trying to get to know each other. We have that in common.
Yes.
However, are we suitable for each other's purpose? But if I don't know my purpose and you know yours,
we just two dumb fools.
The blind leading the blind. But what happens when he knows his purpose and she doesn't know her purpose, and now it begins to feel heavy?
Yeah, because she's hounding him.
Yeah. And that's you can't put the onus on the other person. It's not fair.
Yeah,
it's
that's
not fair.
Real. That's you I know you don't want to know, you don't want to be caught this, but you're preaching. Like you teaching.
Okay,
like you are like giving some jewels, like some golden nuggets. Like we need to hear this. And I know, and I hope that people aren't taking from this conversation that you are advocating divorce, because that is not it. Like it's wholeness. It's if you decide what I believe and what I've gotten from you and studying you and listening to you and even being a guest on your show, on your platform, is that you want us to be whole people. You want us to be a whole couple.
Yes.
And if we both work together and move together in our purpose, we will have a thriving marriage. But if not, you don't have to stay and not be happy because you got some elements that you can go through.
Right.
So with that, you mentioned dating with a purpose. And also, before we go on, if anybody wants to call in and talk to Tam, because her phone is blowing up over here, they probably trying to get in.
That's not mine.
That's not. Oh, that's mine. Ooh. That's hilarious.
The shade.
Yeah, I know, right? That is all me. I'm sorry, my bad.
Okay.
My phone over here blowing up.
Right.
So if y'all want to call in, she's like, that ain't me. Don't be putting that on me. If y'all want to call in and talk to Tam, talk to me, you can call us at 323-815-4204. That's 323-815-4204. Call in, talk to us, give us some shout outs, say hi to us. If you have some insight or you have a question, feel free to, the phone lines are open, feel free to call in. So you mentioned dating and dating with the purpose.
Yes.
And I didn't mention it in your bio because I really wanted you to. I want to dig it out and have you have conversation with you without me saying it, because then we'll brush through it and not talk about it.
Absolutely.
But let's talk about dating with purpose, because you and I have had this conversation a lot about dating with a purpose. What does dating with a purpose look like to you?
Okay, absolutely. But before we go there, I want to mention something really fast.
Okay.
You said a second ago, that we're not here saying that we're for divorce.
Yes.
I also want to mention that we're not here to bash men.
Oh, I love men.
Yeah, I know.
I love black men, and I ain't here to do that. And I will cut you off.
But I do understand that depending on how people receive things.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
I want to make it very clear, because I know my ex-husband and I are friends.
Okay, good.
You know, so this is nothing bad. No. This is all about God.
Yes.
And not about him nor me.
Yes.
But to move forward with...
No, that's good. Yeah. I'm glad that you brought that point up. Not at all. First of all, I love the black men. I will never date. I won't say will never, but I prefer to date outside my race. I really love the black man. I think he is powerful. He is a king.
Yeah.
And I would never, ever allow myself or my sister or queen to bash the black man. America has bashed y'all enough. Absolutely. So if anybody is taking offense to our conversation, that's something that you need to check yourself, because that is not our intention. Our intention is to build people, build black men and black women into whole Christian people. That is it. Okay. So if you feel in some kind of way, you need to check your own self. So back to our regular
question. Dating with a purpose. DWP, DWAP. You know,
okay. Yep.
Somebody said it sounds like a dance, and I was like, well, let's make it.
Let's make it a DWAP, right?
Because that's one of my titles. I'm a dancer.
Okay. Oh, okay.
But anyway,
that's awesome. You got to teach me something, because I don't know how to dance.
Absolutely, I got you, girl. But at 45, the way it's set up. Anyway.
Right?
Dating with a purpose. So, okay, let me give you an example.
Okay.
So you and I were sitting across from each other, right? You're you're interviewing me, right? Mm-hmm. And you're asking me different questions. You want to know things about me, right? Mm-hmm. We're not dating with a purpose, but this is what dating with the purpose looks like.
Yes.
You're dating to gather data. Yeah. You're trying to learn the person that you're sitting across from. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like when you go to an interview and the company is looking for candidates that can do A, B, C, or D. The first thing they're going to do is probably ask for the resume. They're going to look at the resume, and they're going to see all of the things that he or she has listed. And if you seem suitable, not compatible,
move to the next phase.
Then you move to the next phase. You come in. We talk about it. I ask you questions about it, right? So I see this is your experience, right?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Okay.
Right? So, and I'm not saying be so formal when you're dating someone. However, these are the things you need to know. Mm-hmm. That's your experience. Tell me a little bit about that. Because where you're at today as an adult usually is the direct sign of where you were as a child, right? Ooh. And many times we are afraid to ask who taught you how to be a man, or we're afraid to ask who taught you how to be a husband, or what's the best relationship you have? Is it your mother, your father, or what type of relationship do you have with your father? Because that is going to show us as women, who's been pouring into him or her. I know I dated someone and I asked that question, and the answer was pretty much like a coach. Well, your coach didn't come into your life until you were like 15, 16. Okay. So what happened before? So you want to know.
Just roaming around the streets of this.
So you ask those questions, and then the answer come out. And many times that answer will give you the answer to what's going on over here. Yeah. So those things you're asking, like, what is that? Right? And it gives you the opportunity to say yay or nay when you're dating with a purpose. Yes. So just because I claim dating with a purpose doesn't mean that person, and this is in general, doesn't mean that person that I am dating with a purpose is going to be my husband.
Right.
Because we may get to a point where it's like,
for a month, you be like, oh,
that's not my purpose,
And you're supposed to date.
Yeah. You gave me your experience, and I thought that was so bomb.
So it helped. So I read this book. Did I tell you this? I read this book. It was called Dating in 90 Days. Mm-hmm. And so what the book entails, and I'm going to promote it. I'm going to promote the book Dating in 90 Days, I believe is the name of it. Mm-hmm. But what the book what it tells you to do is it tells women to date 3 men It clearly states do not have sexual relationships.
It clearly states.
It clearly states that it is not intended for you to meet 3 men and have sex with them. That is not the intention. The intention is for you to date 3 men at one time. You can tell the men, I'm dating. Yeah, you don't have to say I'm dating 2 other guys, but I'm dating. I'm not dating anybody exclusively, but I'm dating. Right. And what it wants you to do is date these men for 90 days. And not to kiss, not to rub, no romance, just get to know him as a friend. And after the 90 days, you guarantee one of them will hang on, right? So you date that one guy, and if he gets to that place, usually because he's going to be like, oh my God, I don't want anybody else to want him. I don't want anybody else to take her. So he will try to ask for exclusivity. If that's where you are, and if that's what you want, if that's the purpose of the book, is to find a mate, right?
Right.
You date him.
Okay.
And you can date him, and then if after you date him for a month, 2 months, now you're dating. So if you date him for 90 days, now you're dating him. Let's say you've been dating him for 2 months exclusively.
Right.
But what if you see something after the 8 weeks that you don't like? No one is saying that you got to stay with him because you hopefully haven't been intimate yet, and no emotions are attached. So you move on, and then
you're still dating with the purpose.
Boom.
And you're still dating with the purpose. So not dating with the opposite of that is, I'm just trying to pass time. The opposite of that is something I was told. In order to get over one, you get under a new one. Listen, that's some old school shamalama right there.
You're just taking, first of all, you need time. If you have relations, what I believe, if you have relations with a relationship, you can't jump from one bed to the next.
Right.
And I know
especially
as Christians, we're not supposed to engage in premarital sex. I get that. And I do my best in not hopping from bed to bed. But if I'm dating you exclusively and we are moving towards that,
you bend the rule?
Yeah. It's my show and I can say it. Well,
you want to say.
I'm just saying,
say
like,
your truth.
If I'm dating you and we go in there and it happens, yes. But I do pull it back. Like right now, I'm pulling it back because I really want to see where my relationship is with him. I want to see how we can live life through adversity and not be attached to you because your penis is good.
Yeah.
Or my vagina is good. But some real, true adversities.
Absolutely.
And you get to see things when you're not attached to somebody emotionally. You get to see them for the real deal truth.
Listen, let me tell you something. As a married woman, when I was separated and we were about to be divorced, and not right when we were about to be divorced, but like closer to when we first separated.
Okay.
I tried to use sex to pull him back in.
Okay.
It don't work.
No.
It does not work.
It
right?
doesn't.
I would have sex with him. I didn't want to, but I felt like
this is my husband.
This is my husband, and I believe that if I put it on him good,
he gonna come back.
He gonna think again. You know,
he gonna act right.
No, it didn't work. And so even when we are just dating, here's the thing: dating, not married, having sex. That's a whole nother story.
No.
What is marriage? Marriage is consummation, but let's back up. So even when you're having sex, any sin pulls you away from God.
Yes.
Right? So many times we'll try to fix it by having sex. So we may have our adversities, as you said.
Yeah.
And one of the ways that we will fix it or we'll seal it at the end is by having sex, right?
Yes.
And so understanding that, like you said, I want to get to know you. How do you respond when we're in a situation like this?
Yeah.
Because you don't really know a person until adversity shows up.
Right.
Because it's like, whoa, what was that? Because when we love each other, we love each other.
Right.
It all looks good. It all feels good.
Yeah.
But when we're upset, angry, disappointed, what is your response? Are you going to hit me? Are you going to shove me? Are you going to not talk to me? Are you going to take my credit cards? What are you going to do? Because of the power that you have, or you think that you have, or that I've given you. Because you do have it, because I gave it to you. Right?
Yep.
So that is when you get to know a person.
Yep.
So when you're dating with a purpose, wait until you get to a point where you see how he or she is responding in adversity.
Yeah. That is so good, because I remember I was dating this guy and I told Tam, so what I did, you guys, I dated I went on like 50 dates. 50 dates in probably about 6 months, 8 months. And these men could tell you, I didn't give me none. I'll let you take me out on a date. I will entertain you as your friend. But I just did not feel that I wanted to give myself to a man. I wasn't ready for that. So what I needed to do, because I had been married for so long, and I had, to keep it real, I had gotten married twice, because right back to back, without going through my own healing, going through the 5 elements. I stopped at one of them. I stopped at what's the first one? I stopped at forgive. I forgave him. I'm like, all right. I'm like you said. The old Negro hymn is to get over one, and you get underneath one. Yeah. And I did that, and I got underneath one, and I got married soon after. 2 years later, I was married again. Right. So this time around in my 40s, I'm like, dude, I don't even know. Times have changed. It was 20 years. Yeah. For 2 married, it was 20 years. So now I went in at 24, 25 as a married woman, and came out at 40 as a single woman. So I'm like, I need to date. So I dated. And I think that me dating and getting to know what it was that I wanted and what I liked, I didn't know if I wanted a chubby guy. Did I want a guy with a belly? Did I want a short hair guy? Did I want a long hair guy? Do I like a guy that snort? I mean, that fart. Do I want him to smack? Like, do I want him to open my doors? Like, I needed to see that. And guess what? It was so much fun. I got to dress up. I even dated some white guys, an Asian guy, a Pakistani guy. It made me realize that I want me a black man. See? So you have to date, and you have to date with a purpose. But I think we should have, this can be like part 3, because I feel like there's another part, because I believe a lot of times we don't know how to date. Right.
We don't, because we haven't been told. We haven't been taught. We haven't seen it.
Exactly.
We haven't seen it. So if I'm dating someone, and just say I introduce him to my close friend, not my family, but like my homegirl, then does she automatically think this is the guy that's going to be around forever? Right. Like, no, how does that work? You know, like, I'm dating with a purpose. Yes. You know, and if you aren't, like you said, exclusively dating a particular person, what do you feel about bringing that person around people that you know?
I don't. Okay. So good question. And then we got to, I want to make sure everybody know where you are and how they could follow you and buy your book. So here's my thing. No one gets to meet anybody in my circle. You meet them by accident. I shouldn't say accident, but you meet them by chance. Yeah. So like, for instance, how did somebody meet my son? Okay. So I may have been dating you exclusively for like 3 months, 4 months. And I'm not ready to introduce you to my son, but you might be dropping me off at home, and my son may be pulling into the driveway. Right. And I'm like, oh, okay, John, this is Isaiah.
Opportunity.
Yeah. I'm not telling you, John, this is my boyfriend, my son. This is my friend. And then of course my son's gonna say, so who is that? Yeah. Who's this man? So I date in private. When the time is revealed who my mate is, because I believe that is my own, I have my own right to keep him to myself. Right. And I just don't feel that, I'm private anyway, and I just don't feel that everybody needs to know. Now, when time permits, then you will. But a lot of times they don't even get that far. And I'm happy because... Yeah. But that's a good thing. I'm not going to lie and say that my son hasn't met somebody or two that I thought that was probably going to be it, and then it turned out not to be. Right. But at this age, we're grown, our kids are grown, they're all right, and we just try a little harder next time.
And those relationships that didn't actually work, you learned something in those
almost
relationships.
Definitely.
So I know that going forward, sometimes I don't know I know what I don't want. Yes. I may not know what I want. Yes. But I know what I don't want because of the experience. Yeah. And when you experience something new and fresh from a new person, it's like, okay, I like it or I don't like it. Yes. Right? And then you have a choice.
That is, this conversation was amazing. Girl, we're almost out of time. Fun. We got 5 minutes. And I really want to make sure that we promote your book. So tell us two things. How we can find you on social media and how we could purchase your book.
Absolutely. So on social media, I am Tamora Johnson, Tamora Johnson. I'm also Make It Rise on Facebook and on Instagram and also on YouTube.
Awesome.
And my website is TamoraJohnson.com. However, I'm doing some updates with it because I'm adding some things that I'll be doing this year, and so that I'm super excited about. But my book is on Amazon.
Okay.
Both books. Okay. You can just type my name in.
Yep.
And they'll come up.
It. Yep.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's how you can find me.
Is there?
And I'm excited to connect with the people.
Right, and please, you guys. So her show is airing Friday.
This Friday will be talking. We'll have a couple on the Matwires, and they are talking about they have a book called 10 Keys to a Successful Argument.
Ooh,
so we'll be talking about
awesome.
How do you successfully argue? Like, it sounds like an oxymoron, but
it's real.
Right, but it's real. And so they're going to share some tips on that, and I'm excited about that.
Me too. I'll be tuning in
6 o'clock
to that for sure. Is there anything else that you would like to share that we didn't get to, that I didn't get to? Do you feel like you got it all out?
It's so much. I don't know if we could get it all out in a year.
I know. We need
in
another
hour.
We need another show. Like,
absolutely.
This is awesome. Maybe I can add a little segment to my show and have like you come and give us some relationship tips, something like I enjoy talking to you, and it was like
I love it.
Really quick. Before we go though, so as you guys know, I am an emancipated youth, and this morning, I was laying in bed, and before I got up, I said my prayer, and I was about to get out of bed, and I opened up my phone, and I went to Facebook, and the first post that I saw was a GoFundMe page, and it was for this young girl named Lily, and Lily is a 17-year-old foster youth who is about to be aged out, emancipated. And she is asking for her basic needs. So right now she's caught up in the county with the COVID. The money's being funded to her. So she may be homeless. I don't know the details, guys, but it's up on the screen. If you have $5, $10, $15, $20, $1,000, $2,000, her goal is $3,000. Just some pocket change to be able to eat. Can you support Lily? Is GoFundMe. Go to GoFundMe, and it's a former foster child Help Lily Pay Rent, organized by Christina Valentine. Go there, guys. And if there is any other, as you guys know, my call to help, if there is any other emancipated youth that is a ward of the court, please reach out to me. I am also on social media, Facebook. It's Girlfriend's Guide to Life podcast or Girlfriend's Guide to Life. But you can also find me on my personal page at Miesha Young, Miesha. And on Instagram, I'm Girlfriend's Guide to Life. Life is spelled Lyfe. Well, guys, it has been a phenomenal time. I thank you, my beautiful sister, for joining me.
I appreciate it.
It was fun.
What an honor.
You are awesome. You have,
to God be the glory.
For real. God is definitely using you, and I thank you for those. The 5 elements got me, because you don't realize what you went through until you hear it, and you see it, and it's such a beautiful thing to show the world, to show women and men that look at us. Life after divorce can happen.
It can.
Right?
It
so
can.
Thank you.
Thank you
guys.
again.
Thank you. I love you. See you next time. See you on the 20th. Peace.
Bye.